I'm Cath. Welcome to my channel Made by Cath Craft. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new to my channel, I love to talk about sewing, sometimes a little bit of knitting too. Anything fabric based, sewing pattern based, I love it, and I love sharing my love for it with you guys. So if you haven't subscribed, I'd love it if you would subscribe and press the bell icon so you can find out about all my future vlogs talking about sewing and a bit of knitting too. So today's vlog is really exciting. It is the reveal vlog for my collaboration I've been doing with my friend Liz, who's the baker that sews. She has her own YouTube channel. You probably subscribe already, but I'll put the link down below in case you don't. Please check it out. Liz and I did a collaboration last year where we both made the same pattern in different ways. We called it One Pattern Two Ways, and we both made the Calais shirt and shirt dress by Closet Core Patterns. So we decided to do another collaboration vlog, and this time we've both been working on a different pattern, the same pattern, which is this one here. It's the Bakerloo blouse and dress by Nina Lee. So today's vlog is talking all about my final make for this pattern, One Pattern Two Ways challenge or collaboration, and I'm really looking forward to sharing with you my make. First of all, I thought I'd share with you what I'm wearing today, as usual. Today I am wearing a Freya top by Tilly and the Buttons. It's from the Tilly and the Buttons stretch book. It's I've chosen the mock neckline version. It's my favourite version. It's in this lovely cotton jersey. It's a floral cotton jersey and it's got kind of a subtle grey stripe to it too. And I got this a long time ago from Lily and Mimi fabric store, but I'll link them down below because they have some lovely jersey fabrics, so in case you want to check them out. And I'll pop a picture up of me wearing it. I'm just wearing it with a pair of ready-to-wear jeans because I went out on a walk in the mud with my family this morning. So I'll just pop a picture up just so you can see what it looks like. It's a lovely top. I would really recommend the Stretch Sewing book. It has some great patterns. But that's what I'm wearing today. Let's move on to the reveal of our collaboration. And if you haven't, I'd recommend you go back and watch our introduction vlogs. I'll link them both below. We each did an introduction vlog talking about the pattern and our plans, sharing some thoughts on what we might do. So do check those out if you haven't watched those first, before you come back to this one to find out what I've been making. So with our One Pattern Two Ways collaboration, what Liz and I do is we agree on a pattern we both want to make, and we both really fancied making this one, the Bakerloo blouse and dress. And then we basically go away and don't tell each other too many details about what we're planning. So when I watch Liz's reveal vlog, it'll be just as much of a surprise for me as to what she's chosen as it will be for you. And it's great because I think working with someone else really makes you think creatively, makes you raise your game, and so it's a lot of fun. So the reason that Liz and I decided we'd like to both work with this pattern, the Bakerloo dress and blouse, is because we both had similar thoughts about this pattern when it first came out. So it first came out late last year, and it's kind of a statement piece, I guess you'd say. It's got a really oversized collar, and we weren't sure how that would suit us and if we'd like the style on us. So we thought it would be really great to challenge ourselves and give it a go. So I'll talk to you just a little bit about how the pattern looks. As I said, it's got this statement collar, which goes around the back too, with a lovely ruffle detail around the edge. It's then it's a loose-ish fitting blouse. It's got bust darts, but it's not designed to be close fitting. The dress version has a gathered skirt, and then both versions have a kind of quite a sort of large puffy sleeve that comes down into elasticated cuff with a lovely frill detail. And you can make the sleeve in two different lengths, one that sort of sits around your elbow and one that's full length. So it's got some lovely details. It's definitely a statement piece in your wardrobe and a lot of fun, but we weren't sure how it would look on ourselves, so we really fancy giving it a go, just for fun and seeing how we get on. So that's the Bakerloo dress and pattern, and what I'll do now is hand over to Liz so she can tell you a little bit about what she's been up to.
Hi Cath, thank you so much for doing this collaboration with me. It's been really fun. I've had a bit of a journey with my version of this pattern, but it's been really inspiring working with you again, so thank you so much. And also thank you so much for having me over on your channel. So we decided to work on the Nina Lee Bakerloo pattern, which is a new pattern by Nina Lee. I don't know which version you've gone for, Cath, and I know you don't know which version I've gone for either. So I'm really excited to find out a little bit more about what you did, and also what fabric you decided to go for and any adjustments that you made to the pattern. Once you have watched Cath's vlog, do head over to my channel, I'm the Baker That Sews, and have a look at what I did. I've got a little sneak peek on my lap now, so I'm just going to hold up a little bit of what I did. So here it is, and I decided to go with this beautiful brushed cotton that I got from Rainbow Fabrics. so I'm not going to show any more, but I also made some adjustments to the pattern. So do head over to my channel to find out a little bit more about what I decided to do with the fabric and the pattern. Thanks so much, Cath. I'm really excited about watching your vlog, and hopefully we'll be able to work on something again soon. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much, Liz, for joining me on my channel to share a little sneak peek of what you've been up to on our One Pattern Two Ways collaboration. I've really enjoyed working with you. It's been so much fun. It's really inspired me too. So once you've watched my vlog and found out how I've got on with this pattern, please do head over to Liz's channel too and check out her reveal blog too. I'll pop the link down below so you can take a look at that. But now let me tell you all about what I've been making for my version of the Bakerloo dress and blouse. So if you watched my introduction vlog to our collaboration, you'll know that I'd chosen the fabric that I wanted to sew my Bakerloo dress or blouse in, but I didn't give away too many other details about what I had planned for my project. The fabric I chose was this gorgeous Liberty cotton Tana lawn, which I got from Minerva, and I'll link it down below. It's a lovely, really dark navy colour with lots of what looks like kind of almost flowers that you'd find in the forest, I kind of think, on it, in lovely colours, some reds and creams and a little bit of blue, lighter blues. I think it's really pretty. It's kind of a small ditzy print, and I thought it would look great to make the Bakerloo dress or blouse. So I got 1.9 metres of this Liberty Tana lawn. And it's great, since Minerva launched their new website, you can now buy from them in increments of 10 centimetres. I think the minimum you can buy is possibly 50 centimetres, but from upwards from there, you can buy in increments of 10 centimetres, so I didn't need to buy the full 2 metres. This Liberty Tana lawn is pricey. I got it on discount over Christmas. They had a sale on then, so I was quite pleased to be able to get it in the sale, but it is pricey fabric, so being able to buy only the amount I needed was really good. So yeah, I got 1.9 metres of that, and that's because that's the amount I needed to make the blouse version, which is the version I decided to make. So this fabric I think is just under 150 centimetres wide, and for the blouse, for that width, you need 1.9 metres or 1.6 if you're making the shorter sleeve, and I wanted to make the longer sleeve. So let me show you my version that I've made in this beautiful Liberty Tana lawn. And here it is. This is my version, and I absolutely love it. As you can see, I made it in the Liberty lawn, but I also added a little detail by adding this trim on this ruffle in this navy fabric. And this fabric is a Robert Kaufman cotton lawn from Minerva. It's a Cambridge cotton lawn, I believe, and I'll link it down below. And I knew I wanted something that would be really fairly lightweight and also match the kind of texture of the Liberty Tana lawn. The Liberty Tana lawn is gorgeous and smooth and soft. I'm not a big fan of really crisp cotton shirts. I used to wear them for meetings at work, and I used to always find them really quite uncomfortable. But this Liberty Tana lawn is totally different to your standard kind of crisp cotton shirt. It's really soft, it's really comfortable to wear. It doesn't feel restrictive, so it's lovely. And I wanted something similar so that the movement and the texture of the ruffle would match the rest of the garment. So I chose this lovely, soft Robert Kaufman Cambridge cotton lawn from Minerva. And it's got a similar feel to it. It's nice and lightweight, so perfect for gathering around the neckline. I did have one minor issue when it came to cutting the ruffle, which I thought I'd mention in case it's useful. I bought 50 centimetres of this Robert Kaufman cotton lawn from Minerva. That's the minimum I could buy, because I knew I only needed it for the ruffle pattern pieces. And this fabric is 115 centimetres wide, so it's a narrow fabric. Now, if the ruffle pattern piece is actually wider than 115 centimetres, so I found I didn't have enough width of this fabric to be able to cut the ruffle pattern piece. And when I had a look at the pattern, thinking, how does that work with the pattern? Because surely you must be able to make this blouse or dress using the narrow fabric. When you have the narrow fabric, the cutting layout shows that you need to place the ruffle on the grain, the direction of the grain, rather than crosswise, so that you use kind of the length of the fabric rather than the width to make the ruffle piece. But because I only had 15 centimetres length, I didn't have enough to make the ruffle piece either way. It just wouldn't fit. So what I had to do was I had to use a couple of pieces to sew them together to make the ruffle. So at the back of my blouse, somewhere around here, there is a seam line where I've pieced the 2 pieces together, and you can't see it at all, and the navy fabric I think is quite forgiving for that too, but I thought it might be worth mentioning that to bear in mind if you are buying a separate fabric just for the ruffle. You might want to look and make sure it is a wider width, the full 150 centimetres, so you can fit the ruffle pattern piece all the way across. But let me put up a picture of me wearing the blouse so you can see how it looks on. I'm really pleased with it. I absolutely love it, and I really love the collar. It doesn't feel too big when I'm wearing it, and I've put it in this picture here with my Megan Nielsen Brumby skirt, a denim skirt, and I really like how that looks, but I think it would look equally great with a pair of jeans too. I'm hoping I'll get a lot of wear out of it, and that I'll be able to wear it in winter with a nice chunky navy cardigan on top too. So I really love it, and now I'm going to talk to you about a few adjustments I made to the pattern, as well as how I found the sizing and that sort of thing. So the main alteration that I made to this pattern that does change the look of the pattern slightly is actually to the sleeves. So the sleeves of the pattern are designed as balloon sleeves, so there's a lot of volume there that gathers into this little elasticated cuff. Now I thought for me that the big collar combined with big sleeves would be too much for me. So I decided I wanted to keep the collar because that's the statement piece I really loved, but I wanted to make the sleeves a little bit narrower. So I redrafted the pattern pieces slightly, and I'll show you what I've done. So I'll show you the original pattern piece first, the sleeves. It really is quite large, and this is why you need so much fabric for this pattern, because of the size of the arm pieces. So this is the arm piece. As you can see, it's fairly narrow at the top of the shoulder, but then it comes down into a very wide bottom piece which is gathered in. So I didn't want mine to be that big, so what I did was I made an adjustment, and I pretty much changed it so it's almost straight going down. So there's my pattern piece, my revised pattern piece. As you can see now, there's a lot of the volume has been taken out. And I wasn't sure how this would affect the little ruffle at the bottom. So the sleeve has a ruffle here, and I'll show you mine. Oop. A ruffle at the bottom here. And I wasn't sure if I took that much volume out, whether this ruffle wouldn't look so sweet, whether it wouldn't ruffle nicely enough at the bottom. So I wanted to make a toile of this, just purely the sleeve, to be able to check how that ruffle and how the sizing would work. And I wanted to make it in a similar fabric to what I was just going to use for the actual blouse, just so that it would feel similar in terms of the ruffle. I thought if I used a much thicker fabric, say a calico, it wouldn't give a good representation of how it would feel when I made the final version. So I had a little look through my sort of offcuts from previous projects, and I found I had just enough of this lovely Atelier Brunette cotton cambric, I think it is, enough to make a sleeve toile. I figure once I've finished with this, I can unpick it and still use the sleeve pieces for maybe pocket bags and that sort of thing, so it won't go to waste because it's such pretty fabric. But I thought that is lovely and soft and lightweight, so I thought it would be perfect to try a toile in a similar fabric. So here's my toile of the sleeve. As you can see, it's a lot narrower, and I got a chance to put some elastic in the bottom and try it, and I found the ruffle was okay, so I decided to go ahead with a narrower sleeve. So that's, yeah, my sleeve toile. Sometimes I find it really helpful just to do a toile of a particular little piece of the pattern just to check it out. One thing I did find though when I was making this toile was that I needed to adjust the bottom of the sleeve piece. The original sleeve piece has quite a curved bottom here, I guess to account for the balloon and how it kind of sits at the bottom, to make sure the length is the same from the sides and the middle. I found when I adjusted it, I needed to flatten out that bottom bit and make less of a curve, otherwise the piece would end up at different lengths at different points. So my revised piece has a more straight bottom, so that was just one extra little alteration I did before I cut into my actual fabric to make those sleeves. Oh, and I'll put up a picture of how the sleeve looks on my version, just so you can see how the narrower sleeve looks. I really like how it looks with the blouse, but it is a slightly different style and without the statement sleeve too, so I guess it's a personal preference, and that's just how I thought it would be more comfortable on me. One thing I did find, because I made those sleeves quite a lot slimmer, is I did have a little bit of the actual lawn, my fabric left over after I cut out all the pattern pieces for my blouse. I think because those sleeves do take up so much fabric. So I'm really pleased because I've got a little bit of this fabric left over now that I'll be able to use for pocket bags, similar to the Atelier Brunette fabric. It's such a pretty fabric, I know I'll get some joy out of using that as a little hidden feature in another make. So that was good. But if you are considering narrowing the sleeves, you might be able to get away with a little bit less fabric, which is quite nice. The other adjustments I made were a bit more minor. Firstly, I increased the length of the pattern by a couple of inches in the body, just because I have a fairly long body and I wanted to make sure it'd be plenty long enough, especially to be able to tuck into things without feeling like it might fall out, so I lengthened the body slightly. I also found the armhole came up slightly tight on me, so I actually, what I did was I actually adjusted the armhole slightly. I just basically took it down a little bit on this pattern piece here, the front and back pattern pieces, just to give a little bit more room under the arm to make it more comfortable. And then I also reduced the seam allowance I'd sewn on the sleeve slightly, and next time I make it I'll just adjust the pattern piece on the sleeve to make it slightly wider at the top, so that it works together with the armhole of the bodice to make that slightly wider shape, because it did come up a little bit tight under the arm for me and I wanted it to be really comfy. So that's one other small adjustment I made. I think I only needed to adjust it by 1 centimetre or so to make it that little bit wider or deeper under my arm. The other thing I did was, the pattern notions include 0.6 metres of 1 centimetre wide bias binding. I decided I'd make my bias binding since I had some of the Robert Kaufman cotton fabric left over. And you can see, I'll show you I've applied it through here. You can see that bias binding detail, it runs around the neck. I made my bias binding to the same width as specified in the pattern, and I found with this Robert Kaufman fabric, because it is a little bit fray, the binding was very fiddly and it was quite hard to actually apply it because it was so narrow. So I think if I was making this garment again, I would actually cut a slightly wider bias binding. It isn't very visible, it's only you can only see it on the inside of the collar, and then the actual sewing of the bias binding on the outside is all hidden under the actual collar, so you can't really see the bias binding much at all. So I think a slightly wider bias binding would look fine and make it that little bit easier to apply. I guess if you're using shop-bought bias binding, it probably wouldn't fray so much as your own bias binding, so it might not be so much of an issue. But if you are planning on making a bias binding, you might want to cut it slightly wider than the pattern recommends. And I thought I'd share with you, when I was showing the bias binding, the little detail at the back. It's hard to show, but here you are, there we are. The Bakerloo has a lovely little detail at the back. It's secured, it's got a little gap at the back here, and then it's secured by a button and a rouleau loop. I had this button in my stash and it happened to match quite nicely, a navy button. And it was my first time doing a rouleau loop actually, and I really enjoyed doing it. So the pattern recommends you, to make the rouleau loop, that you can use a loop turner, or if your rouleau loop's really fine, it recommends using a needle and thread to pull the loop the right way round. Now I have this prim turning set here, which I use a lot. It's a great set and I definitely recommend it. But the rouleau loop on this is so fine, actually even the finest turning tool in my set didn't work. So I did use that needle and thread method. I just secured the thread to one end of the little loop once I sewed it, and then used the needle to pull it back through, and it worked well, but it was quite fiddly. But I thought I'd just mention that. Next I wanted to talk about sizing for this pattern. So I've got the paper pattern for the Bakerloo dress and blouse, and this comes in sizes 6 to 20. And the sizes start from size 6, which is bust 32 inches, waist 24, hips 33.5. And it goes up to size 20, which is bust 46 inches, waist 38 inches, and hips 47.5 inches. But also, Lena Lee's more recently released a PDF version that starts from size 16 and goes up to size 28. And that version is, this version I think is drafted for a B cup. The larger size range actually has two cup options, a B cup and a D cup. And that goes up to a size 28, which is a bust 54 inches, waist 47 inches and hips 57 inches. So that's great that she's done the extended size range. And I understand from looking at her website that the smaller size range, the 6 to 20 version, is drafted for a B cup with the base of an hourglass figure, whereas the larger size range, the 16 to size 28 range, is drafted with the 2 different cup options and also with more of a gentle pear shape in mind. So I thought that's quite interesting and great that she's catering for different body types. I actually graded between 2 versions for my version. My bust is a 32, which puts me at size 6, but my waist and hips are size 8, because I'm 26 inch waist, and actually my hips are slightly larger than a size 8. They're somewhere between a size 8 and a size 10. So looking at the thinnest measurements, there is a bit of room there, but I decided to grade up from the size 6 at the bust down to a size 8 at the hips, just to make sure that the blouse did sit comfortably over my hips. I didn't want it to feel tight there. And I'm really happy with the fit. So I'm glad I did grade between the sizes. I didn't want it too snug around the hips. In terms of construction, I had a little look in the pattern and also on Lena Lee's website to see if I could find what the recommended skill level is for tackling this pattern, but I couldn't seem to find it anywhere and may have missed it. But I would say it would be okay if you're a confident beginner. Firstly, the pattern recommends fabrics that are fairly stable, such as a cotton lawn, poplin or a chambray, and I think that would make it easier than trying to sew it with a viscose. I think a slightly more stable fabrics is recommended so that the collar holds its shape nicely. So that'll make it easier as a pattern generally because it is a woven stable fabric. There are some fiddly bits. The actual blouse itself comes together really nicely and it's quite easy to construct, and the little frills around the sleeves, they're really quite straightforward too, and they create such a lovely detail, but they are really straightforward to sew. The one bit that I'd say is the most fiddly is around when you're making the frill. What you do is you gather this frill around the collar and then you kind of sandwich it between the front collar and the back collar, and it's quite fiddly sewing around here to make sure that you catch the actual seam of the frill but don't catch too much of the frill itself, so that when you turn it out it does look neat at the front. So that is a little bit fiddly. And the other fiddly bit is attaching the bias binding, because you kind of need to sew it underneath the collar and make sure everything lines up neatly at the front and at the back. I'd say those are the most fiddly bits, the construction. But once you've done those bits, it's fairly plain sailing. But yeah, I'd say you want to be a fairly confident beginner to take this on. But yeah, it was a really enjoyable sew actually. I find Nina Lee's instructions really great. The pattern's broken down nicely. The pictures as well are nice and clear in the pattern. There are lots of pictures for each step. So that's nice, and there's a lot of information and detail at each stage too. So I'm really pleased with how my version came together. I'm really looking forward to wearing it. I can't wait till the lockdown's over and we can get out and I can actually wear it out and about, because it seems a shame, it's so pretty, it seems a shame just to be wearing it around the house. I really enjoyed sewing it and I loved having a little play with the contrasting trim. I think it has endless possibilities, this pattern, for little different trims. You could add like a lace trim around the edge or different colours, or you could make a different colour collar to the main garment and keep the trim the same colour as the rest of the garment. There's loads of fun you could have with playing around with this. And I actually enjoyed making it so much that I decided I'd like to make a dress version. So I've actually ordered some fabric to make a dress version of the Bakerloo, and I'll be sharing the fabric I've chosen in my next fabric haul vlog, so please do check that out when it comes out, but I'm really looking forward to giving the dress version a go too. So thank you so much for watching and hearing all about my thoughts on the Bakerloo blouse. I really enjoyed making it and I really enjoyed collaborating with Liz too, so please do go and check out Liz's channel to find out more about her version. I'm going to be hopping over there and watching all about what she made too. Thank you so much for watching. I would love it if you'd subscribe so you can hear more of my future sewing projects, including a Bakerloo dress version. If you have any questions about the Bakerloo, then do drop me a line down below, or tell me if you think you might be sewing it too. Thank you so much for watching and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye.